Hi, this is Tara Lynn Farrell. I'm with Coldwell Banker Advantage and continuing this series of women real estate investors. And today I have Michelle Meyer from Coldwell Banker Advantage, who's a friend and a fellow realtor. And I just want to ask her a few questions about her experience with her investments. And so, Michelle, you have a couple investment properties. You have an Airbnb and a townhome. So in our last video, we discussed Airbnb. So can you tell me, how did you come about the townhome? Did you know you were investing in a townhome at the time? Okay.
No,
right.
not at the time.
Which is
No.
you didn't go into it like, look, you did not go out and search and do comps on townhomes.
No.
And okay.
I actually was looking for a place for myself to live.
Okay.
As after my divorce and the dust settled, I was ready to start, as my mom said, to start adulting again.
Adulting, okay.
So I was in a neighborhood, and
this is in Holly Springs.
In Holly Springs,
Holly
yep.
Springs, North Carolina.
Yep. I was in a neighborhood with a client, actually a buyer, and we were getting him a townhouse under contract.
Okay.
And while we were doing all the paperwork, I started going through other floor plans and pricing, and I thought, well, I can afford that. So long story short, I put in a contract for myself to build that townhouse.
Oh, so
and
you
it was
went for a build, too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was a
New
neighborhood that was just starting out.
Okay.
So
you got in early.
so that was spring of 2018.
Okay.
So I bought it for my personal. I picked out everything to the nines, because that's where I thought I would be for the next 10 years. Fast forward, never say never. Right. And my situation changed.
Okay.
And I decided.
And you did live there?
Yes, I lived there for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay, yeah. So you have done your capital gains, or right, long enough to capital gains and long enough to have your a regular conventional loan.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And so my personal situation changed, and I decided to buy a house with my partner.
Okay.
My boyfriend. Can I say that?
Yes.
And so, and ironically enough, this was 4 days after I closed on my Airbnb.
Oh my God. So, you decide, okay, you're buying a house.
I lost my mind. I closed.
You're buying an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So wait, did you build your house after the townhome, or that was a
It was
home?
New, but it was sitting there.
Okay,
it was done.
Sitting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you have a place to live. You have an Airbnb at this point. Okay.
I'm living in my townhouse. My boyfriend and I decide, maybe we're ready to take that next step in life. And we start looking at houses like everybody else does. I set up a search for us, all that. And ironically, about within the week of me closing on the Airbnb condo in the mountains, we found the perfect home. Okay. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit, because I just put down all this money.
Right. A huge deposit on Airbnb.
So again, I called my lender, who I count on to talk me out of anything dumb I'm about to do. And I said, okay, can I do this? He goes, yeah. We talked about down payment and everything. And he ran my credit again along with my boyfriend's. And so we closed on the home I'm in now in December.
Okay.
So I decided to keep the townhouse because, for one, I could.
Okay. And your lender helped you with that? Or you you figured out all the numbers.
Right.
Can I
Could I qualify? Yes.
You need to
I qualified without having to sell.
Okay.
So if that had turned out differently, obviously I would have sold. But I didn't have to sell, so I decided for my financial portfolio, I should keep it. Okay. Another tax write-off. And just keeping it real, I thought to myself, what if the relationship doesn't work out? Okay. And then we have to sell this house. I need a place to live.
Okay. Does he know you had it for backup? Or no?
Yeah. He had a townhouse too.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
And he kept his townhouse. Everybody's got backup rentals, so it's all good. So, yeah. So that's how that happens. So the first year I advertised for tenants, and I got 3, a brother and a sister and one of their friends in their 20s.
Okay. At this point, so you moved into your new home.
Moved out, cleaned everything.
Put it up for rent. Okay.
And got a brother and a sister and their friend that rented it for a year. In that time, due to COVID, both of my adult children's lives changed, and they ended up needing a place to stay.
Okay.
So we had a very heart-to-heart conversation about me being their landlord,
Okay.
because that, could go either way.
Right.
And we had to set some guidelines, like rules between us.
Right, sure.
And we did.
Absolutely.
And so I had other tenants in place for a year. And then my kids moved in about a year ago now.
Okay.
And we did an official lease.
You did
Yep.
with your kids. Okay.
Yep.
How's
And
that working out?
fine,
Yes.
fine. They were very clear that I was not allowed to enter the property
Oh, really?
without prior notice. So
Do you
I
have
don't.
a key?
I do.
You do have a key.
I
okay.
do, just in case,
Right.
But I don't. When I come
Uh-huh.
over, I let them know I'm coming.
Right.
And if I'm dropping off something, I leave it on the doorstep.
Uh-huh.
And now they laugh at me because they say, "Well, you could have brought it inside." I'm like, "Nope."
Nope. You told me no. That's
And
part
just
of it.
recently, I had to have a conversation with them because HOA dues change
Oh,
and
okay.
property taxes can change. So my numbers are going up. So I told them, I said, I have to raise the rent.
You're raising the rent. Okay.
Not exorbitantly like most places are these days,
Right.
but I've got to get the bills covered. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So is there cash flow, or is there more just they're paying down your investment?
They're paying down
they're paying
their
down your
inheritance.
Okay, their own inheritance. Okay.
Their own
Well, there you
inheritance,
go.
right.
Do they understand
yeah.
that?
Yes.
They
yes.
do. Okay.
Yes.
So every payment they make is essentially going towards an investment for them too.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And if
That's a great
they're in their
concept.
20s, so
Uh-huh.
their life situation is going to change.
Right.
This isn't a permanent thing for any of us.
Uh-huh.
So as their life unfolds, if I'll either maybe sell it, depending on what the market is doing at the time, or
Right.
put in other renters,
Other
and
renters.
then it would be a cash flow. Because the first year I did it, it was a cash flow.
Right. And then yes.
This is just me being a good mom.
Right,
And
yes.
but a smart businesswoman at the same
Exactly,
time too. Yeah. I told
100%.
them straight up, I can't lose money
Uh-huh.
on this. So
Right. You need to just stay even, or okay.
Yeah.
And do they call you for repairs, or how's
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yep.
And what do you do your own, or do you have handyman? No.
handyman.
You have
Well,
a
it depends
handyman,
on what
or
it is.
depends
Like
what
we
it
had
is.
an air conditioner situation. I got my HVAC guy out there.
Okay.
There hasn't been. Oh, like they needed a new air filter on the fridge. I went and bought that and put it in.
Okay.
Silly things like that. But
Right.
because the townhouse is newer, knock on wood,
Right. You have a new.
nothing's
Yes.
really happening. Yeah.
And then, well, you found it's in a great location too, Holly Springs. Right.
Yep.
So.
Closer to me than they like to be.
Okay.
Because I live in Holly Springs too, but that's
right.
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yeah.
still a good investment for the future.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
I mean,
it's definitely
I'm
appreciated.
always running numbers,
Uh-huh.
and of course, with what's happened in our local market, I easily both investments that I have, if I were to sell, I would clear over 100,000, which is tempting.
Right.
Very
sure.
tempting, but,
and they were both you bought in
2020.
20?
No, well, 2018 for the townhouse, 2020 for the other two houses.
And you've already
yeah.
appreciated that much. Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's tempting, but at the same time, I'm thinking in terms of the long haul.
Right.
Financial portfolio, tax breaks, things like that.
So what are your write-offs, or do you have do you find it as a good tax advantage?
I think so. I give
yes.
everything to my accountant.
Oh, okay. So he takes care of
Yeah.
it, or he or she,
Yeah.
I should say. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I
and
just
some
tally
depreciation.
up everything and give
your
it to them.
expenses and repairs and things
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have different. This is
Interest,
something good
right.
for people to know too. I have a different bank account for each home.
Okay.
So my townhouse has a bank account. My Airbnb has a bank account, so that all the money and repairs and everything flows through that bank account.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep it all separate.
And do you do a separate LLC for that, or no?
I have not so
have not.
far, but
Okay.
I may. Yeah.
Okay. All right. To protect you. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about the new? So you have one older property, the condo, and then a newer property. Have you found? But your Airbnb was renovated, so
Yeah. It's
what-
older because the building was built in 1983, but
okay,
my unit was one of the ones that had been renovated
renovated
by
okay.
the people I bought it from. So it feels like 2020
Okay.
in there.
And then
Yeah.
if in the future, would you prefer to buy new? Like when you talked about maybe buying in Myrtle Beach, would you do new or old or
Yeah.
as far as
I
a
don't
resale?
know.
Or it depends on the
Probably I would
property?
look for ease of. So, for example, my place in the mountains, I don't have to worry about snow removal,
Mm-hmm.
lawn maintenance, anything like that. So that's
Right.
another thing you have to factor in. I don't know that I would want to do a major overhaul because first of all, I don't have that knowledge, nor do I have that cash flow
Okay.
expense that I'd want to put into it. And if it's out of our area, I don't know the vendors. So I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't know, I'd have to really rely on word of mouth.
Right.
So I'd rather do something where it's maybe renovated, but maybe needs paint or,
Mm-hmm.
easy things that I could hire out easily, but not because my place in the mountains, like they took down a wall, they
They
added a
did.
tray ceiling,
Before you purchased.
yeah,
Okay. Right.
yeah. So that
Nice.
was a huge. They did over 100,000 worth of renovations.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah,
then you came in and scooped it up.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
brilliant.
slapped on some paint and called
Uh-huh.
it a
Called it a
day.
day.
Right?
Bought a nice
Yeah,
sectional and
yeah.
well, you put in some effort,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. Uh-huh.
I put in some money because
Right.
again, this is a home away from home
Mm-hmm.
for my
Right.
family,
Yes.
and that just happens to make some money too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Great. Do you have any advice for people that are just starting out or thinking about it or dabbling in it but scared or in investing property like would you
Investing in
say a
general, yeah,
condo, a townhome, a single family home or
yeah.
where to look besides finding a great realtor to help them
Yeah, I
like
would
you?
definitely say consult somebody with that area knowledge.
Right.
And a lot of experienced realtors can run those numbers for you
Mm-hmm.
because you're always looking on your rate of what they call your rate of return.
Okay.
So, what do if it's traditional rent, what do they rent for monthly and what could you rent it for
Mm-hmm.
versus what your mortgage payment would be, HOA dues, things like that.
Right. Okay.
Um, and then if it's more for resort like Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
I'd go back to locations you like to go to so that you can use it personally yourself. Um, and yeah, and then obviously talk to your financial
Right. Financial
planner
advisor.
and your
Mm-hmm.
lender. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just see what the numbers are because it may be easier than you think or you
Mm-hmm.
may not need as much. So if you talk to them ahead of time, they can give you those numbers. So then if you
Mm-hmm.
need to save a little bit, you know what your target is.
Right. Okay.
Whether it be 10,000, 50,000, 200,000,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think some people maybe that work for themselves or have a small business, like you work straight commission, you work for yourself,
Right.
and you can invest. So I think some people might think, oh, I can't even do that. When I run my own business, it would be just too complicated.
Right.
As
Right.
far as on the lending side,
Right.
it is a little
And it is
different
different.
process.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little
It
more
is different.
stringent process.
Yes.
But I know when you do have a rental, and then you have to show proof of rental,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. If you're using that,
Yep.
when you're applying for a loan, if you
Yep.
already have a property. So,
Yeah.
but so people that work for themselves can still do this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I work with several investors locally and in the mountains now.
Mm-hmm.
And some are, I have one set of investors now where they do all the work themselves and completely rehab.
Uh-huh.
And we've been in some pretty scary houses.
Uh-huh.
And I'm talking 30, 40, $50,000
Mm-hmm.
was the price.
Okay.
And then the husband is extremely handy,
Uh-huh.
and his job is seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
So on the off season,
Okay.
that's what he does.
Uh-huh.
He goes and they
Really?
gut it from the inside
Uh-huh.
out. And some of them they keep and turn into rental properties, and then some they turn around and sell.
Okay.
So yeah.
Great.
And then I have another investor that has just bought properties through the years for different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
both traditional rental and Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
Some they've paid cash for, some they've financed.
Okay.
So everybody's
Interesting.
situation is different.
Different. Right.
So yeah, you really need to have an accountant, a financial planner, and a lender that you trust.
Right. Okay.
Because you've got to be able to lay all your cards on the table
Right.
and show them your financial situation
Mm-hmm.
and then let them advise you.
Okay.
But they need all the facts to
Right.
be able to
Right.
advise
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so
You're very
much.
welcome.
This has
You're
been
very
fabulous.
welcome. Hopefully
Thank
people
you.
will get encouraged to get out there and dip their toe in
To
the
explore
investment
it.
world.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
investment.
Mhm.
Real estate is.
It is. It's
So.
time honored and
Mm-hmm.
for years people have used real estate. regardless of what's happening in the economy or
Right.
when
Who
we
the
go.
president is.
It does
doesn't
not matter.
matter.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Real estate is always going to be a good investment.
Mhm.